Ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
On this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, the message some of this year's convention attendees have for Congress. Plus, the Federation of State Beef Councils celebrates 50 years.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. Topping this week's cattle industry news, U.S. beef exports are at an all-time high. The record was set in 2012, surpassing the one set in 2011. According to a year-end report released by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the total value of beef exports in 2012 increased 2%, resulting in a record high $5.51 billion on 12% lower volumes. And the overall export value for beef hit $216.73 per head, a $10.36 increase from 2011. Experts say this is a significant record in light of the challenging export conditions and trade barriers in several key markets. So is 2013 shaping up to be another record-breaking year overseas? We have more in this week's Market Watch.
Market Watch.
And joining me in the studio is Dan Hallstrom, Senior Vice President for Marketing and Communications for the U.S. Meat Export Federation. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you.
You know, 2012, while we were down in volume in terms of beef exports, my understanding is we had a record year in value. What's the key to that success?
That's exactly right, Kevin. It was a record year in value. I think a few key drivers. Japan, number one. We're over $1 billion in sales in Japan, and that's still with the restricted access in terms of 20 months and down, and it's really a positive because in February 1st it was announced that we now have 30 months of age and access into Japan. So that'll really help us drive forward into 2013. Hong Kong is also a success story. We had volumes up there, and we recently found out that we now have access on the bone-in side, which will help us in Hong Kong as well. So despite the fact that we had some obstacles in 2012, we still had good numbers. And 2013 should improve as well. Beyond that, we have some other key areas, Central South America, Peru in particular, Panama. They've been doing very well. Our numbers are way up. Middle East continues to be a stronghold, led by Egypt, but the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Jordan, some of these other places are also showing good growth. So Mexico is still our largest market. We are down a little bit there as well. We're seeing a little bit of price resistance, but still a very, very key market. So I think if you add it all up, all things considered, especially with production down a little bit, I think our numbers held in there very well for 2012.
That sounds like great news. So translate that to a producer level. What does it mean to individual producers?
Yeah, for the year, on a per head revenue from exports, we were at $217 a head, which is a record. But the exciting thing is in the month of December, we had an all-time monthly record of almost $250 a head. Wow. So, if you look at 3-4 years ago, we're up almost $70 a head just in the last 3 years. So I think if you put it back to the producer side, in dollars and cents, it's significant.
It's real money. So tell us, what is it going to take to keep this momentum going into 2013 and beyond?
Well, I think there's several things going on. I mentioned two of them already. Japan, we have a marketing opportunity there now with 95+% of the cattle available for Japan. We're all over that as an industry, and we'll capitalize on that. Hong Kong, as I mentioned, is another one. But we have some other areas as well that we got to continue to groom. And Korea. It was down a little bit last year, but still long-term very, very important market that we'll continue to work on. We still have access issues out there, though. Yeah. We have issues with China. We don't have direct access into China. We have issues in Saudi Arabia. Mexico still doesn't have full access. So we got to continue to focus on these access issues as an industry. And just by chance, yesterday, it was announced by the World Health Organization, the OIE, that they're going to put up the United States for negligible risk classification from our current controlled risk, which negligible risk would be the lowest risk classification on BSC. This should definitely help us in moving forward on these access issues. And it's not final yet. It's proposed. There's a meeting in May at the OIE where they will vote on it, and it'll become official at that point. But we get that done, and USDA has done a wonderful job on working on that for us with the OIE, and we really see that as a positive going forward.
Great news. Well, a lot of stars are aligning, and a lot of that is due to the great work you all do. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
For more information on beef exports or the U.S. Meat Export Federation, just log on to our website at cattlemen2cattlemen.org. From government overregulation to feed prices, cattlemen across the country face challenges on their operations every single day. So what should Congress be working on? We had the chance to ask cattlemen and women that very question at this year's Cattle Industry Annual Convention.
If I had one message that I could send to Congress, it would let agriculture do its job. Let us feed the nation, and let us do it in a safe and progressive way as we've always done.
They need to get some action. I think that's pretty much what needs to happen, is they need to start doing things, and we need to start seeing them work for us, because we did elect them, and there are a lot of important things that need to get done, I think, this year.
Please don't over-regulate us. That's the main thing. Pass bills that are helpful to our industry, not hurtful.
You know, go to work. Go to work. Let's get the country straightened out. You know, there's no excuse for, you know, the political, you know, jargon in this country. You know, we're all Americans. Let's get it worked out.
And I feel that it's important that our Congress realize that they've been charged with a duty to the American public, and they need to realize that they owe that responsibility and that duty to us. Every single person who voted for them, and even those that didn't vote for them, we've put them in that position, and they're responsible to getting some things done for us. And I'd like to see them put aside partisan politics and just really do what's best for the American people.
Get the debt under control.
I think my first message to Congress would be to get your act together, please. You know, one of the things that I'm most concerned about is how I actually got married a year ago Thanksgiving week, and how are my husband and I going to be able to step in and take over for my parents? Right now, with the regulations, with the state tax as such, it's going to be really difficult unless we have some of those in place in advance. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do it or not. Luckily, they've made some changes, but there needs to be more focus on rural America. Dodge got it right in their Super Bowl commercial, and we need to share that with all of America.
Oh, the message I like to give Congress, did you see the Dodge commercial that played during the Super Bowl? That's us. We're pertinent, we're important, we're family, we're faith-based, we're trying to produce a good product, and we're looking for future generations. We're not looking for something that is self-serving for the near future. We're looking for something generations ahead, and we're protecting it.
The National Cattlemen's Beef Association works hard every day on Capitol Hill, making sure our members of Congress know your concerns. Won't you join our efforts and become an NCBA member? Joining is easy. Just call 1-866-USA-BEEF or email us at c2c@beef.org. If you join right now, you can get a 100 milliliter bottle of Dectomax injectable from Zoetis. And if you join NCBA as well as your state association, you'll get a 200 milliliter bottle. Again, the number to call is 1-866-USA-BEEF, or you can email us at c2c@beef.org. Ahead on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
If you're getting enough moisture to grow weeds, and you're getting enough moisture to grow some grass.
Expert tips for rebuilding pastures and forage quality after a drought. Plus, what one South Carolina operation is doing to prevent a calf respiratory disease setback. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're watching NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen on RFD TV.
Respiratory disease is a significant animal health issue in the beef industry. It costs producers nearly $1 billion in lost profits each year, and it's the most prevalent disease in calves older than 30 days. So why not prevent respiratory disease before it steals from your bottom line? Vista Once protects your calves with the most complete respiratory disease coverage available, and Vision Blackleg vaccines can add 14 pounds per calf at weaning. For further information, contact your local veterinarian or animal health supplier. Celebrate the heart of America at the 2013 National Ag Day. It's March 19th in our nation's capital. The event honors America's agricultural community and its contributions to our country and our world.
So it's appropriate and absolutely necessary that we take, not just today, not just this week, but every day and every week, to thank American farmers, ranchers, and producers.
Generations nurturing generations. To learn more, visit agday.org.
You're not responsible for the weather, just the cattle. And Rangeland works as hard as you do to deliver performance, production, and profitability. Cattle need consistent nutrition. They'll get it year-round with Rangeland products from Land O'Lakes. Deliver what they need free choice in weather-resistant loose minerals and mineral and protein tubs. Get the most out of your forage. See your Land O'Lakes Co-op for products that will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at us. Weather's coming in. Rangeland. Consider it done.
Welcome back. From a weather standpoint, 2012 was one of the toughest years many cattlemen have seen, as drought extended across a wider area than ever before. Range and pasture conditions in the Southwest, the Plains, and the Midwest all took a severe hit. As some areas begin to recover, what are the best strategies to help rebuild pastures and forage quality? Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Matt Fleck visits with cattlemen in Texas who share some of the keys to recovery they employed last year coming out of the 2011 drought.
2011 we had a real bad drought, but everybody did in this part of the country.
The drought of 2011 in Texas was, by most records, the worst one-year drought in history, at least recorded history in Texas. And so, without a doubt, it's played a toll on pastures and rangelands.
Augustin Mendieta manages the South Creek Ranch, a cow-calf operation stretching across 5,000 acres just east of Dallas. Bob Payne is manager of the Bond Ranch near Sherman, Texas, and also has his own custom spraying business. Ranching where they do, drought certainly is no stranger to either cattleman. And while the drought of 2011 hit their grasses hard, these two ranch managers say many of the weeds held on through the dry conditions.
It didn't seem to hurt it at all. In school they told me top growth is relative to bottom growth. So if that weed is hip high on me, it's got a taproot or a root that is 3 foot in the ground.
Our grasses need the moisture, all the moisture they can get, and run broadleaf weed would take the moisture away from 5 grass plants.
As the drought gets more severe, we do get perennial grass die-off, and that's when the weeds come in and start taking over, and that's when it will help to actually do some weed control in most cases to allow the plants to repopulate and to replenish.
In managing through the drought, one big key for both these ranches was reducing the number of animals on their land before it became overgrazed.
You need to be flexible on how you do stuff. I mean, you know, we've destocked early.
We just destocked instead of feeding cattle, because you can't feed your way out of a drought. We destocked animals, so that helped out a lot. If you overgraze a pasture in a drought, it takes about 5 years to replenish the grass that was there at one time. That's a real slow process.
Pastures that are destocked during a drought properly are going to recover faster. And then when you come out of a drought, being able to come in and control weeds, be slow to put cattle back in, and increase those stocking rates back up, allow those grasses time to recover. And those are the pastures that are going to recover faster. And we've seen it here. We've seen it in Texas. We've seen pastures such as this that you can't tell a year later we were even in a drought.
In this area of Texas, moisture began to return in 2012. So now, having managed through the drought, these ranchers are working on helping their range and pasture land and grasses recover. And they're happy to share their experiences with their fellow cattlemen facing similar challenges heading into the 2013 grazing season. Charles Hart, a range and pasture development specialist with Dow AgroSciences, says no matter what part of the country you live in, drought recovery can't be rushed.
Recovery takes time, number one. Number two, it takes rainfall. You have to start getting rain again before pastures recover. But there are some things that you can do to help speed up the process. It's really a three-step process. First, you have to have good management prior to a drought, so your rangelands need to be in good condition. And second of all, there's no substitute for destocking during a drought. The folks that destocked remained in better condition than the folks that didn't, period. And then the third thing is what you do following a drought. And grazing management and good grazing management is a big key or big part of that during that whole process. But weed management can also help.
See, because a drought, you deplenish your grasses, you overgraze. You got a tendency to do that. But if you see bare ground, the weeds will come back before the grass comes back. So when recovering from a drought, if you spray your herbicide, you won't have that problem. But if you don't, you're going to have a weed problem. It's going to flourish. The weeds are going to be a lot stronger than they have been in the past because of the bare ground that's exposed.
Anything you didn't weed kill through the drought, we'll go ahead and really try to spray it and take care of it and help it come back. I can tell where we lost a bunch of grass during the drought and I didn't weed spray one of those pastures and it's still not back. And I don't know if we're going to get it back next year or not now. Where I did weed spray coming out of the drought, it has helped all my grass.
We'll have more from Texas when we return. Now, if you're interested in getting a copy of this range and pasture weed identification guide from Dow AgroSciences, all you have to do is give us a call. The number is 1-866-USA-BEEF. Again, all you have to do to get a free copy of the range and pasture weed identification guide is to call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF. But you'll need to hurry. Quantities are limited. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Grow more low-cost forage and improve grazing access by clearing out weeds and brush with these Dow AgroSciences herbicides. See your Dow AgroSciences representative or visit rangeandpasture.com.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. From Capitol Hill to the far side of cattle country, the National Cattleman provides information NCBA members need. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Welcome back to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Let's return to reporter Matt Fleck, who's learning more about how cattlemen can rebuild their pastures and forage quality.
As moisture returns, even in small amounts, to drought-stricken areas, weeds will often start growing before grass does. Stopping those weeds early is critical to grass recovery.
If you're getting enough moisture to grow weeds, and you're getting enough moisture to grow some grass, okay? So you've just got to ask yourself, do I want to grow weeds or do I want to grow grass? And if the answer is you want to grow grass, then if you're getting a little bit of moisture, then it would be beneficial to control those weeds.
If you don't spray anything at all, it's going to get worse. If you can, I don't know how to really explain it. It's going to be, our weeds are going to get stronger because they're going to be coming above the grass, and there's a canopy over the grass that's going to shade them out. If you get into the woody plants, they're going to come stronger because they're trying to survive just as much as the grass is. But if you apply your application of herbicide, you set everything back except your grasses, and they'll flourish.
Basically, when you're coming out of a drought, there's really no better time to control weeds in terms of just the benefit you're going to get from that weed control. And it may not be that you just grow a ton of grass that particular year, but it's a recovery process that's going on, and you've got to give those forage plants the time and the moisture to recover. And weed control is going to help speed that process up.
The value of weed control has been clear for Bob Payne. He's grazing twice the number of cattle on a pasture he was able to spray, which is right next to one he was not able to spray. And the difference in forage quality and recovery is dramatic.
This is grass we've sprayed, and we don't have the weeds, and right across the fence they're hip high on me. Where we didn't spray, we got about half the grass of where we did spray at, and it just kind of varies. But yeah, you could probably cut it in half where we didn't spray.
The weeds take away forage production. Anytime you take away forage production, you have to reduce stocking rates, and you reduce stocking rates, and you reduce calf crop or whatever it is you're raising, and it's money out of your pocket. Absolutely.
No doubt controlling weeds with herbicides such as Dow AgroScience's Grazon Next HL, Forefront HL, or Chaparral is an investment. But for many producers, it's an investment, especially coming out of drought and during a time when forage is so valuable, that pays clear dividends.
Our recovery was excellent. I considered it the best one yet because of the herbicide program that we were on.
It helped speed up my recovery quite a bit. I mean, I've got 90% of my grass back in this pasture, and where I didn't spray, I'm 50% over.
Again, if you see that the weed pressure is suppressing grass production, that's the bottom line. If you control weeds, then you grow grass.
From the range and pasture lands of North Texas, I'm Matt Fleck, reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Dow AgroScience's full range of products can be suited to fit nearly any rangeland or pasture. For help selecting the best product for your individual situation and management goals, you can head to our website at cattlementocattlemen.org, or you can visit rangeandpasture.com to contact a dealer and find the right product for the job. As we mentioned earlier, Dow AgroSciences has a great resource for all cattlemen. It's called the Range and Pasture Weed Identification Guide. And all you have to do to get a free copy of this is to just give us a call. Again, the number is 1-866-USA-BEEF. Just tell the representative you'd like your free copy of the Range and Pasture Weed Identification Guide, and we'll get it right out to you. But you'll need to hurry. Quantities are limited. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's deer season savings time. Just in time to get you ready for hay season. With 0% financing on John Deere mower conditioners, balers, and select hay tools. Plus, get 0% financing on all John Deere utility tractors up to 140 horsepower. It's the season for savings on hay tools and tractors. Deer season. Be sure to stop by today.
There's an easier way to help protect your horse from West Nile virus. West Nile Innovator. No other vaccine has helped protect more horses. Talk to your veterinarian today.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen and Colorado Rancher. Join me each week as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association brings you the latest updates in industry information and market news.
Plus, each week we provide important educational information and features on cattlemen from across the country just like you. And we can't forget our favorite cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Join me for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, debuting Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, right here on RFD TV.
Welcome back. The Federation of State Beef Councils is made up of the 45 qualified state beef councils that collect the $1 per head beef checkoff. And this year, they're celebrating 50 years. We recently had the chance to talk to some of its members about this special milestone.
Our forefathers who put this together were a genius. This is a complicated structure, but it's a very important structure, and I think what it does, it gives the grassroots producer a say-so in what they're doing with their checkoff dollars.
The guys that started this were so visionary to see what we needed, and I've been around for not all the 50 years, but several of them, and watched the Federation of State Beef Councils evolve from the Beef Industry Council, the National Livestock and Meat Board, to where we are now, taking a more bold role in doing the checkoff work. And it's just a self-help program that works like no other I've been involved with.
The Federation of State Beef Councils is the checkoff division of NCBA, and together we've been the feet on the streets as state beef councils to help extend the great programs that have been delivered on behalf of America's beef producers over the last 50 years.
It started even longer ago than that, and state beef councils were getting organized in the 1950s and developing programs in their own states, and then came together in 1963 to really form that coalition that would create a national program. And it's just come a long way in those 50 years. But really the idea is still exactly the same, and that is that we can really be strong as individual states in what we do, but once we join our forces, we can be even stronger, and I think that's really a great message.
When we have a strong national program, we have a strong state program, and when we have a strong state program, then we have a strong national program, and they work so well together, and they need each other.
But it brings all of the states together, and the state beef councils or the state checkoff programs are different. The states have different structures, but we all come together to help drive beef demand, and it's excellent. The Federation brings the state national groups together with the one purpose.
We all have different situations in our individual states, but there's always those things that we share and we can take from others and use in our own states. And that sort of brings in the idea of efficiency, because when we can all share our ideas and the national works with us, it makes a very efficient organization.
Without our beef councils, our national programs really can't extend and do all that they're meant to do. That we really need the beef councils because they are the ones that are getting into the stores, they're the ones that are getting into the restaurants, they're the ones that have the relationships with those consumers and those school districts and those outlets for the product. And so we desperately need to have a relationship with beef councils to make a difference for beef demand.
I have a very small staff. It's me and a part-timer, and neither one of us is a designer. And so we utilize design services an awful lot, and usually on short notice, and they're very cooperative with us and very helpful. We use them for ads, we use them for brochures, any types of publications, and sometimes even to help us with radio advertisements, newsletters. We keep them busy.
One of the services that we just used recently was design services, and we make a great benefit out of that. We just, they designed a BQA brochure for us that looks really great, very professional, and it's something that in New York State with a limited budget, we couldn't afford a graphic designer to do that. And so that was one of the most recent uses of the Federation services.
One of the things that is great about the Federation is states like Wyoming with a small staff and lots of cattle but no people, we can take those dollars and we can invest them well in places where the consumers live and really utilize producer dollars to make the biggest impact on beef demand.
It's been a great state-national partnership, moving the dollars to where the people are, and that's what I'm most proud of.
I really feel like we have had some visionary people that have got us to this point in the industry. You know, there's a lot of issues, frankly, that we're kind of dealing with, and I think we're going to be able to deal with those better with this state and national partnership. And so when I think about the last 50 years, I think it's been very valuable to have a group of, a team, if you will, that all works for one goal.
Happy anniversary, Federation of State Beef Councils. We are a big fan of the work that we've been able to accomplish together.
Happy 50th anniversary. It's a true reason to celebrate 50 years of collaborative efforts that have been successful in assisting this industry and staying relevant, and I can't think of a greater reason to celebrate.
Oh, happy anniversary. I'm delighted to be a part of this.
And joining me in the studio to talk more about the Federation of State Beef Councils is Todd Johnson, Vice President of Federation Services for NCBA. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Thanks, Kevin. It's good to be here.
You've got that button on. The Federation is celebrating its 50th anniversary. Yes. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Federation.
You bet. 50 years ago, the Federation was created, but I want to take you back just a few years prior to that, in the 1950s, when individual state beef councils were being created across the country. California was our first individual beef council to be created, and producers came together to create that council as a way to support the market when drought caused more cattle to be placed onto the marketplace. So they brought together a self-help program. Alabama followed, Florida, Montana, and so by the mid-60s, 1963, we had 6 state beef councils in place. At that time, the National Livestock and Meat Board, based in Chicago, was the home to the Beef Industry Council. So created in 1963, there was a home for state beef councils collectively to pool resources and do programming. Now, the other milestone was in 1996 when the National Cattlemen's Association merged with the Beef Industry Council of the Meat Board. That's created today in what we have as NCBA, and that's the home of the Federation today.
And that brings us up to date. Talk to us about the role the Federation plays today in the checkoff.
You bet. The Federation has 2 significant roles in the checkoff program. 1, it is home to the Federation of State Beef Councils, and 2, it is a contractor to the beef checkoff program at the national level. So I like to point that out because we provide services to individual state beef councils in the areas of IT, design, communications, strategic planning, things that are very centric to what a state council does at the home level. But we also provide these services on behalf of the national checkoff program, and that's through our role as a contractor to the Cattlemen's Beef Board and the Beef Promotion Operating Committee.
You know, at convention, we continually hear a lot about this state and national partnership. Can you tell us more about that?
Partnership is essential to our success. We know that the 45 state beef councils across the country are really the feet on the ground to make checkoff programming come to life. The partnership we have is being a home to those state councils, not only the staff that do great work at the state level, but the volunteer producers who serve on their state board. They sit on our committees and our board at the national level. So it's a real opportunity to bring to life programs that are funded oftentimes at the national level, but implemented at the state level.
So what do the people who actually pay into this program think about this partnership and this arrangement that we've created?
I think it's the truest form of grassroots input you could ask for. A couple of figures to think about. 45 state councils across the country that collect the checkoff and then invest dollars nationally and at the state level. On those state councils, over 700 producers and industry leaders make up their state board of directors. So those 700 people then designate their board members to come to the Federation and serve on our committees and our board and help set direction for the national program. So a really great synergy that happens between state and national. Again, great grassroots input from all across the country.
So you're ensuring that somebody in an ivory tower is not making all the decisions. We've got actual producers giving their input and deciding where these dollars are spent.
Precisely, and they do that in a really coordinated way. Again, they're making decisions at the state level based on their 50 cents that they retain, but they're also making decisions on the national level. And the Federation plays a significant role in bringing those ideas and talent and perspective to a national level.
Thank you for all the leadership you provided the Federation. It's an outstanding program for the industry.
Thanks, we appreciate that.
For more information on the Federation of State Beef Councils, just log on to our website at cattlemen@cattlemen.org.
Ever wonder where the beef checkoff dollar goes and what it buys? The Federation of State Beef Councils is made up of the 45 qualified state beef councils that collect the $1 per head beef checkoff. Each council keeps control of 50 cents and sends 50 cents to the Cattlemen's Beef Board for use in national beef checkoff programs. Many states also choose to send a portion of their share to the Federation to expand national and international efforts. As a division of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the Federation of State Beef Councils works to support an effective state and national partnership, helping to increase beef demand through research, promotion, and education. Because producers themselves direct these programs, your beef checkoff dollars are in good hands. Learn more about the Federation of State Beef Councils by visiting beefusa.org.
Welcome back. Cattle producers put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making their operations successful. The last thing any of them want to deal with in their herd is respiratory disease. It's a significant animal health issue and costs producers an average of $15 per calf per year. That equates to a $1 billion problem for our industry. Cattlemen reporter Brian Baxter heads to South Carolina to see how one family operation works to prevent calf respiratory disease.
We're a family-operated Angus seed stock operation. We run about 900 brood cows on 2,500 acres. Also have a herd of commercial cattle.
Our primary purpose for existence is to produce Angus bulls for the commercial cattle industry. And pretty much everything we do revolves around that and trying to create a total picture to produce bulls that'll go out and work for people, that'll be trouble-free, and go out and produce the type of cattle that the industry needs today.
Kevin and Lydia Yon run a family-owned and operated Angus seed stock outfit in Ridge Spring, South Carolina. The Yons take a lot of pride not only in raising top-quality cattle, but also in their customer service.
It's very important to us that the cattle, when they leave here, go perform and do well for their new owners. And we want to do everything in our power to make those cattle perform well.
With their livelihood riding on producing healthy cattle that meet their customers' high expectations, the Yons can't risk a respiratory disease setback in their herd.
I can just imagine from a cost standpoint, from a reassurance standpoint, to be able to tell our customers that everything's under control and that the health is good, and then to know that we've had a respiratory outbreak would really be a problem for me to be able to stand behind our cattle.
Cattle are how we make our living, and we need them to be healthy, and we need them to perform, and we have sales scheduled twice a year, and we need cattle to sell. A respiratory outbreak would be very detrimental.
Keeping their herd healthy and profitable means doing everything they can to prevent respiratory disease. Kevin and Lydia say a good overall herd health program is the foundation to a successful operation.
We don't have a problem, we don't want a problem, and we don't want our customers to have a problem. Our goal is to sell bulls to people that go out, work for them, that make them want to tell their neighbor, I got this bull, he's great, I hadn't had any trouble with him, I'm going back to get my next one from there.
We have a very stringent herd health program here at Yon Family Farms. We work very closely with our local veterinarian, Dr. Jeff Norden, scheduling and mapping out our herd health program throughout the year.
It takes a team approach, and you have to break it down in components and work out a good game plan in order to successfully manage it.
Every year, their game plan includes a strong vaccination program to ensure their cattle are protected from respiratory disease from the very beginning.
The vaccination program is the critical component of a herd health program. Without a good vaccination program, without a good vaccine, you're probably doomed from the start. I don't think that you can really overemphasize the importance of a good vaccination program.
A respiratory vaccine is just the basis of what we do. They work. When we wean cattle, we don't need to worry about a respiratory blow up, and when we use good products and do it in the proper manner, we haven't had problems with respiratory disease.
The basic respiratory diseases that cattle need to be vaccinated for are IBR, BVD type 1 and 2, BRSV, PI3 or parainfluenza 3, and then Mannheimia hemolytica and Pasteurella multocida.
The Jans use the Vista line of vaccines as part of their vaccination program and fortunately have never had to address any respiratory disease setback in their herd.
We want our cattle to be bulletproof when they leave here. We've used Vista, been very pleased with the results. It has worked well.
Vista is a very good choice for respiratory vaccine because it offers the most complete protection on the market today. And it's also one dose, so it's not a vaccine that has to be boosted every time. And it's the only vaccine that's on the market that is modified live for the virals and an avirulent live on the Pasteurella portion.
Vista is a good vaccine. I think you need a vaccine that's certainly efficacious. You need a vaccine that has a long duration of immunity. You need a vaccine that has a low reactivity rate. And you also need one that's cost efficient.
It could just be really devastating if you did have a respiratory outbreak. And fortunately, we have not been in that situation, and I attribute that to the fact that we've had such a good prevention program and that our vaccines have worked and been effective.
We'll have more tips for preventing calf respiratory disease when we return. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
Respiratory disease is a significant animal health issue in the beef industry. It costs producers nearly $1 billion in lost profits each year, and it's the most prevalent disease in calves older than 30 days. So why not prevent respiratory disease before it steals from your bottom line? Vista Once protects your calves with the most complete respiratory disease coverage available, and Vision Blackleg vaccines can add 14 pounds per calf at weaning. For further information, contact your local veterinarian or animal health supplier.
Nominations for the 2013 Environmental Stewardship Award are open. Each year, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association recognizes an outstanding cattle operation for its excellence in land stewardship and conservation practices.
It's important for us to be good stewards of our land and of our water, and we try to implement practices that are in tune with what is sound as far as sustainability.
True environmental stewards not only strive to leave the land in better shape, but also inspire future generations of stewards.
I think it's been a great opportunity for our family to put together, the story of what we've been doing as stewards.
Nominations can be submitted by any organization, group, or individual on behalf of a U.S. cattle producer. Completed nomination packets must be received by March 1st, 2013. To download a nomination packet or to learn more about the award and previous winners, visit environmentalstewardship.org.
Welcome back. Let's return to South Carolina, where reporter Brian Baxter is learning more about ways cattlemen can prevent calf respiratory disease.
The Jans rely on Vista and Vision not only because they effectively prevent respiratory disease, but also because they're less stressful on the cattle.
We vaccinate calves at 3 to 5 months of age, and then again 2 to 3 weeks prior to weaning to get that immune response, getting those cattle ready to be weaned using just Vista Once and Vision at weaning.
After we vaccinate calves, we don't see the calves go through what we would think of as a typical stress period. They still seem pretty much just like they did the day before you worked them after you've run them through the chute and vaccinated them, done whatever else, tattooing or whatever else you were doing to them that day.
When we look at respiratory protection, what we're actually trying to do is immunize the animal against the threats that it's got to meet. But we don't want to immunize it with a vaccine that's going to cost us so much in production. And Vista appears to be a very mild vaccine. As you heard Lydia say earlier, they've seen no stress from the vaccine.
A comprehensive vaccination program is just one component to preventing respiratory disease. A strong nutrition program, starting with calves nursing soon after birth to ensure they're getting colostrum, is critical in order for the cattle to respond effectively to the vaccines.
Colostrum quality is most important. We know that a calf just needs to get up, nurse, and hopefully he's going to have a very high quality colostrum, but we feel like nutrition and a good herd health vaccination program improves the quality of that colostrum.
When we vaccinate we think the fact that we have taken care of them from all the other standpoints makes that whole vaccine process easier on them and the vaccine work effectively.
Despite the best vaccination and nutrition programs, calves can still pick up viruses and contract pneumonia. Dr. Newcomb says observing the animals on a regular basis is important to diagnosing and treating the disease early.
It's important because respiratory disease can travel pretty fast between the animals. So once you start seeing 1 or 2 animals, you'll start seeing the whole herd start getting an outbreak. Once an animal contracts respiratory disease, that can affect his production throughout his lifetime.
The Jans know that with any program, it takes many components working together to be successful and effective. While a strong vaccination program is important for ensuring the overall health of the herd, they say it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Isn't any one area that is going to make our herd more productive. It's the genetic component, it's the nutritional component, it's the herd health component. Parasite control is the basis for having a good herd health program, as cattle with parasites aren't going to respond to the vaccines and get the immune response that we're looking for. It's a system that it takes all of them done properly for our herd to be productive.
They all work together as pieces of the puzzle. If one component of the puzzle is missing, then we have an incomplete product to sell. So we try to fill in all the blanks and put all the pieces together that can help us create a product that's trouble-free for our customers.
If you look at nutrition, you look at parasite control, you look at stress management, those are all the foundations that you have to build a herd health program on. You want to minimize stress, you want to maximize the calf's immunity, and you want to maximize the calf's nutritional status. And when you vaccinate, you want to use the most complete vaccine out there on the market today, and that's going to be Vista.
Caring for their cattle and staying up to date on their herd health program is a way of life for Kevin and Lydia Jan, and it's a quality that many people take notice of.
Kevin and Lydia, they're go-getters. They pay attention to detail. They go the extra mile. They grasp new concepts, and they're willing to change depending upon the market conditions.
We've just been entrusted to be stewards of the cattle and the land, and we take that very seriously, and we feel very blessed to get to do it every day.
We get to see better scenery and more miracles every day than most people get to see in a lifetime. It's just what we love doing, and I hope we get to do it for a long time to come.
Reporting from Jan Family Farms in Ridge Spring, South Carolina, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
To learn more about the Vista and Vision vaccines from Merck Animal Health, visit our website at cattlementocattlemen.org. We'll be right back.
Seasons change, but year in, year out, year round, it's Crystalix season. With specific supplements for weaning stress in fall, protein for pre-calving in winter, calving in spring, and minerals and fly control in summer. For low-cost per-head per-day supplements, every season is Crystalix season.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
We were down at the Smith barn one day, calving first calf heifers. Dale was the boss, and to give you an idea what kind of guy Dale was, Pancho named him El Gallo con Espuelas, which means the rooster with spurs. And he does kind of walk with his chest stuck out and sort of cocky and wears them big old jingling rowels, always wearing a bright scarf. Well, he came a-striding in down there one morning pretty early, just dressed up fit to kill. Brand new shirt and everything. I mean, he was really proud. Well, George had been there all night, and he had a heifer in the squeeze chute trying to pull this calf, and he'd pulled for all he was worth, and he was plumb give out. Well, Dale saw him and said, "What's the matter with you? Can't you pull this calf? Get out of the way and let me do it." Well, George wasn't about to argue. He'd been working on that heifer for a long time anyway. Well, Dale stepped around there behind the heifer, propped his feet up against the bottom of the squeeze chute, grabbed a hold of them two old B-handles and just reared back. Well, that calf was coming straight out, and he had his head just right, and he's a big old calf. And Dale, whenever he gets to doing something, he grits his teeth and smiles just like a jack-o'-lantern and squints his eyes. He had a good grip, and I mean, he was leaned back like a water skier. As the calf started to come, the nice, smooth, round little forehead on the calf pressed up on the heifer's rectum and cleaned it slicker than a whistle. There was a stream about an eighth of an inch wide and 2 inches thick that came arcing out like a rainbow. It just missed the brim of his hat and splattered all over his face, in his mouth, down the front of his shirt, and he couldn't do nothing because he was reared back so far. If he'd let go, he'd have fell flat on his back. So he just hung on till the calf came out and crashed in a soggy pile on top of it. Dale came to life. He was spitting and cussing, and he raised his head just in time, pretty as you please, to see that heifer clean her afterbirth right in his lap. This is Baxter Black from under there.
Thanks, Baxter. Next week on NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll head to Iowa and talk to cattlemen about the benefits of a mineral nutrition program, plus the work one Minnesota cattleman is doing to stay competitive in the beef industry. And we talk to the experts about strategic deworming programs. And of course, the week's news and market headlines. Well, that does it for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. We'll see you right back here next week on RFD TV.